Two people say the same thing. One sounds sure, the other hedges. Be honest, who do you believe? You feel your head tilt toward the bold voice. Your brain loves that feeling of certainty. It feels safe and fast. But here is the twist. You are nodding to tone, not truth. Picture a meeting. The loud, certain person speaks first. The careful person says the same answer, but with maybes. The room backs the bold voice. You have seen this play before. Today, we will show why certainty sways belief. We will also show how it can rewrite memory. And by the end, you will spot when confidence is doing the heavy lifting. There is a name for this mental shortcut. It is the confidence heuristic. In plain words, we use how sure someone sounds as a quick stand-in for how right they are. We lean on delivery when we are short on time or details. It feels smart. It often feels obvious. Researchers have tested this across many tasks. People give more weight to high-certainty opinions, even when confidence and accuracy barely match. A classic paper by Zarnoth and Sneezek showed this gap. The sure voice pulled choices more than the careful voice, even when the careful voice was right as often. Confidence can act like a magnet for belief. Here is the key idea. Confidence feels like a fact, but it is really just a cue, and it is a noisy cue. Sometimes it points the right way. Sometimes it points the wrong way. If you treat it like a map, you can end up lost. So why do we use it at all? The world is loud, and you do not have time to vet every single claim. A sure tone can signal skill, or inside knowledge, or a group's agreement. Think back to our ancestors. When a confident voice yelled, "Lion!" you didn't have time to form a committee. You ran. Following the sure-sounding guide often meant survival. Hesitation was risky. Our brains are wired with that ancient preference. Certainty feels safe, even when it's not. Sometimes the shortcut does work. Weather is a great case. When a forecast says there is a 70% chance of rain, it rains about 70% of the time on those days. Why? Forecasters get constant, clear feedback. They learn to tune their confidence to match reality. That is called good calibration, and it's rare. There is also a social payoff. When a group needs to act, a clear voice helps people move together. But here is a twist. Admitting uncertainty can actually build trust on complex topics. Studies show that saying what you do not know and giving a range of possibilities can make people trust you more, not less. So, sounding 100% sure is not always the winning strategy. Now for a classic test of social pull. In the 1950s, Solomon Asch showed people 3 lines and asked which one matched a target line. The answer was obvious. But he planted a group who all gave the same wrong answer, and they did so with confidence. On the key trials, real participants went along with the confident but wrong crowd about 37% of the time. In fact, 3 out of 4 people conformed at least once. The lines on the card never changed. Only the group's tone did. Confidence does not just sway your opinion. It can rewrite your memory. Imagine 2 witnesses watch a crime from different angles. Later, they chat. One sounds very sure about a detail the other never actually saw. In one study, after that confident conversation, a staggering 71% of people remembered seeing that new detail themselves. Their memory had bent to fit the confident voice. There is more. In another study, a simple line from an officer, like, "Good, you identified the suspect," made witnesses report much higher confidence in their pick. It even made them say they had a clearer view of the crime than they actually did. The feedback, not the facts, pumped up their certainty after the event. And this has devastating real-world consequences. In 1984, a college student named Jennifer Thompson was attacked. During the ordeal, she focused intently on her attacker's face, determined to remember him. When she was later shown a photo lineup, she identified a man named Ronald Cotton. In court, she pointed at him and said with absolute certainty, "I have never been so sure of anything in my life." Her confidence was unshakable. It convinced the jury, and Cotton was sentenced to life in prison. But Jennifer Thompson was wrong. 11 years later, DNA evidence proved Ronald Cotton's innocence. Her memory had created a confident but false reality. The tragic case of Ronald Cotton is not an isolated one. The Innocence Project reports that about 69% of DNA exonerations in the United States involved a mistaken eyewitness identification, just like his. Many of those mistaken IDs were delivered with the same powerful confidence that Jennifer Thompson felt. This is why scientists and justice reform advocates now push so hard for pristine lineup procedures. Here is the crucial exception. Under clean, fair lineup rules, that first flash of strong confidence can be very accurate. Reviews find that when the lineup is fair, when there are no hints, and when an officer records the witness's confidence right away, a very high initial confidence can mean a 90 to 95% chance the pick is correct. The problem isn't confidence itself. It's confidence that has been contaminated by feedback and bad procedures. Here is another trick your brain falls for. Simply repeating a claim makes it feel truer, even if you knew it was false before. Why does this work? It's called processing fluency. The more you hear something, the easier it is for your brain to process it when it comes around again. And our lazy, efficient brains mistake that feeling of ease for a feeling of truth. It just feels right, like a well-worn path in the woods. This is supercharged in our digital world. One person can repeat a claim in a few different places. You hear it 3 times from them, and it starts to feel like 3 different people agree. In one study, a single source repeating an opinion was just as persuasive as 3 different people saying it once. One loud account can echo itself across platforms and create the illusion of consensus. But it's often just one voice playing through many speakers. And of course, tone matters. Lower-pitched voices are often judged as more competent, especially in leadership roles. When people hear the exact same words in 2 different voices, many will pick the lower-pitched voice as belonging to the better leader. The effect is modest, and it interacts with things like gender and culture. But it shows how our ears are tuned to equate a certain sound with credibility. Where will you feel all this today? In a meeting, the emphatic manager says, "It will definitely work." The careful analyst says, "It will probably work, but here are the risks." The bold line often wins the room. It sets the plan, even if both people were looking at the same facts. You will see it in your feeds. A single, confident thread, reposted and quoted, feels like, "Everyone says this." In group chats, the assertive friend who says, "Definitely," anchors the plan for the night. In a courtroom, a confident tone can sway a jury when the details are shaky. In a brainstorm, the first loud idea sets the bar and narrows the path. So how do you spot when confidence is doing the work? First, ask the confident person, what information would change your mind? If the answer is nothing, you are not dealing with confidence. You are dealing with a wall. Next, ask, what is the base rate? This pulls numbers into the talk, not just adjectives. If someone says, "This strategy usually works," ask them, "Out of 10 times we try this, how many times would you expect it to work?" Numbers have a way of cooling the heat of a confident tone. Protect your own judgment. Write down your answer or your estimate before you hear the room. Take the first vote by a quick, private poll, not by a show of hands. That keeps early certainty from anchoring you. Also, if you are in a position to, record confidence ratings right away. Timestamp them before any feedback has a chance to pump them up. The goal is not to dismiss all confidence, it is to use it wisely. Trust strong confidence in places with clear feedback and track records, like weather forecasting or pristine police lineups. In most other places, discount the tone. Look for independent signals, replications, prior rates, and people who are open about their uncertainty. Groups can win by sharing confidence, but only if that confidence tracks real skill. When it does not, the loudest voice can hurt the whole crowd. Here is a simple line to carry with you. If the voice gets louder while the facts stay the same, downgrade the voice. Once you can see when certainty, not evidence, is doing the work, you get your judgment back. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you next time.